religious songs, religious times of the year. Kwanzaa is more of a cultural thing, okay? And Kwanzaa in America did not really come to be until the early 1970s, okay, when Weldon Johnson wrote his poem, Lift Every Voice, which has since become the Black National Anthem, okay? And that's when he started this whole thing of Ebonics and Black English, because I remember we had discussions about it in class. I would talk to my students about that, okay? So it just popped out of nowhere, you know? I mean, when you talk about Christianity and Christmas, you're talking about a holiday that's 2,000 years old, okay, more. When you talk about Hanukkah, you're talking about something that's like 4,000 years old, all right? And Kwanzaa, you know, it just popped up, okay?
Well, you know, a lot of holidays.
It has to do with the harvest time in Africa, okay? And it is a time of family and praying and everything, and it is a happy holiday, but it is not a religious holiday.
Nobody said it is, but listen to this. It's very short, 20 seconds.
Festivals of light, candles glowing up so bright. Different people have different ways to celebrate winter holidays. Candles warm up the night in festivals of light. What's your favorite holiday? Kwanzaa. What you want to learn about? Kwanzaa. What you want to sing about? Kwanzaa. Spell it K-W-A-N-Z-A-A. K-W-A-N-Z-A-A. Get my toys and call all my friends, 'cause tonight is the night. Kwanzaa again, can't wait to light the candles one by one.
Okay, those are two quick excerpts of some.
Well, you know, they talk about Kwanzaa and the Festival of Light. Well, Hanukkah is the Festival of Lights.
I know.
In Hebrew religion.
I know. That's
you know, that's why you light 8 candles and a shamus, okay, making 9, you know, to commemorate the Maccabees' triumph over the Syrians.
Yeah, they only they light 5, I believe.
No, they light 6.
6, okay.
I think it's 6.
It's from, they light from, it's December 21st, 26th to January 1st. Is when you celebrate Kwanzaa, and I assume that...
Well, that would be 7.
No, from the 26th...
That would be 7.
26th to the 1st. 26,
27, 28, 29, 30, 31 is 6. 6 candles.
Okay, I'm just saying, that's what they celebrate. You're probably right, probably is 6. I can't count. But if anybody looks at our pictures, you'll see them. You'll see pictures of the candles, and you can count 5 or 6. I'm sure it's 6, though. I'm sure Mark is correct.
That's what I said.
I didn't. Hey, listen, you're the doc.
But you're the Rev.
So between
anyway, that's just my feelings about it. You know, it is a cultural festival. It is a happy time. If people want to say that it gives African Americans a time to have pride in their culture, that's fine. But it is not a religious holiday.
It doesn't have to be
a
religious holiday.
While Christmas and Hanukkah happen to be religious holidays, commemorating. Well, I guess if that people would question it, historical events, the birth of Jesus, which in itself has been questioned because when the stars align the way they were supposed to be, okay, Jesus' birthday would be sometime in June, I believe, not really December, okay, but the Maccabean victory did take place in December, the equivalent of December, okay? Now, some people have said that Christmas, the celebration of Christmas and the birth of Christ was done primarily, and when you think about it, who's to say no, primarily because of shopping. That there was a Jewish holiday where people go out and buy presents and exchange presents. So, you have Christmas, okay, where people go out and buy presents and exchange presents. You know, and especially this year when you look at Black Friday, when stores actually stayed open on Thanksgiving and before Thanksgiving, you know, the whole thing is about commercialized and buying presents. And when does it start? It starts even before Halloween. You know, before we're even celebrating Halloween with masks and candy, you know, there are already Christmas decorations and they're starting to push Christmas toys, you know? So it's all commercialized. And the bottom line is if businesses can't make at least 25 to 30% of their annual sale now, then it's considered a losing season for them, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well, I believe the figure is more like 70%, but...
How much?
70.
No, that's way too much. That's way too much. You know, but I would say that it's certainly around 30%, you know, if they can do that. But, you know, that's the purpose of the whole show. This show is about, do we really need a supreme being in this time of year, you know, in our lives, 21st century? Science has prolonged life. Okay, science has come up, scientific research has come up with almost cures for many, or treatments for many diseases that used to kill people 100 years ago. Okay, so do we really have to pray to an invisible God to give us guidance and help, other than for the fact that it makes people feel good? You know, and if you were to ask people when they come out of church Christmas morning, or if you ask Jewish people how they feel when they come out of synagogue, okay, on Saturday, or during a certain holiday, they say it makes them feel good, it brings them closer to the Almighty. Does it really? It's an emotional, psychological thing. You know, there are just as many people who feel just as good without having God in their lives. You know, and I was just hoping that somebody would call up and share his or her view. But I must say that I've allotted my time. You know, I've just about, you know, said what I wanted to say. I did want to call up. I told you I would call up if I could. You know, so I'm glad that you know, you and your wife have gotten over your colds. I hope I can get over whatever it is I have. And have a good weekend.
All right, Doc. Appreciate you calling
I will
in.
speak to you. And we'll plan for Monday.
All right. You feel better?
All right. For all our listeners, I hope they had a very happy Thanksgiving with family and friends. We all have, you know, many things to be thankful for that we take for granted, you know, and maybe somebody will call up now and discuss what they are thankful for. I think that would be great, a great way to end the show.
All right, well, we're on for almost an hour, so I'm going to play a couple more songs, and then we're going to call, you know, cut the show off anyway, I believe.
Well, that's another reason why I called when I did, because I know that generally when no one calls up, we have a show for about an hour. I called up about 9:20, and it's almost 10 o'clock now.
We have a caller. Let me grab the caller.
Hi,
who's calling?
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hey, can you hear me?
I hear you just fine.
Okay, wait, because I can hear you, Felix. I think it's my phone. Hold on. All right, talk.
How are you, Lisa?
I'm good. I'm doing good. How are you?
All right. Mark, you still there?
I'm still here.
Hey, Mark, how you doing?
Hi, how you feeling? You better?
Yes and no. Yesterday was not a good day. I couldn't really enjoy Thanksgiving with my family. I really couldn't eat much. And then towards the end of the night, I was just getting pains and stuff. And then today, I was doing my apartment. I was doing the house, decorating and all that. And I actually developed a fever. So got to call the doctor on Monday because I don't know what's going on.
Sounds like your resistance is very low.
It probably is, but I don't know why. I mean, I'm doing everything that I should be. I mean, I'm taking my pills. I took some Advil today. I took a little nap, and when I woke up, I was sweating, so that's a good thing. So I guess the fever broke. But I definitely have to call the doctor on Monday because I shouldn't be getting the pains that I'm getting, and they're getting worse instead of getting better. So just to play it safe, I need to call them and find out what's going on.
Were you ever diagnosed with fibromyalgia?
No.
Might be something for you to mention to the doctor. I mean, I'm not telling them what to do, but
no, I know.
People who have pains and they really don't know where they're coming from. Fibromyalgia is a real big thing now, so it's very possible that you may be a sufferer.
Over the summer, I had 3 urinary tract infections, or it was a urinary tract infection that just wasn't going away. I was put on 3 different antibiotics, and apparently none of them worked. Now, I never went back to the doctor and said to the doctor, okay, I'm getting the pains that I'm getting when I had it in the summer. I never told them about what my urine looks like because they told me I'm supposed to check it. But I went to my gynecologist and he tested me and I had cysts. So I just took it upon myself that maybe it was my cysts, and he says every now and then I'll be getting them. So I'm thinking, all right, so maybe it's that. But it's not. It's got to be something else. And I can't neglect it now. First of all, with my new job, and it's going superb, I just can't mess around with my health right now.
No, you can't. With URIs, urinary tract, UTI. In fact, it's you really can't fool around with that. You never know what that could lead to internally. I know. And the fact that the doctor had you on 3 different antibiotics and you never really reported back, once you've been on an antibiotic for any great length of time, they don't like to use it again. Well, you've been on 3. So, they're sort of running out of what they possibly could use, to try to treat the situation. Who knows? You might need the old-fashioned DMC.
I've mentioned that to them, and I've even said to them, several times I've told my doctors, I'm like, listen, just rip my whole insides out. What do I need it for? I'm 48. I'm not having any more kids. I don't need. And they're like, no, we can't do that. I'm like,
no, they won't do that. Not unless there's a medical reason, because they have to answer not so much to the insurance companies and everything, but hospitals have to answer to eventually the government. I mean, why are you doing this? It's right. As far as they're concerned, it might be an unnecessary surgical procedure.
Right. I mean, I don't know. I overanalyze it. Say, well, it could be this, it could be that. Then I go online and I look at things. I also try to think back when my father was alive, because I remember when I was with him, he was in my car, and he also had these terrible pains